Hi, we're still working on our pergola project. As you can see, some time has gone by, but here is the next step of the process. As you can see, we've taken some of the old barn beams and we've cut those to roughly 7-foot lengths. And now for the next step, we've cut them at a 90-degree angle, cut them flush. Now we're going to drill a hole to set those in on top of the beam. So, after the hole is drilled, it's set on top of the stone pillar and inset into the re-rod, so it's all tied together. It's then squared up and tacked in place. Then it's squared across to the other beam, so it's nice and square. And then the excess beam is removed. And then we move to cutting the tenon. Okay, you can see here where the original mortise was cut, and it rotted away over time. I don't need much of a tenon, just enough to hold it in place. Believe me, that's white oak, and it's about a 2 by 2 by 2.5 inch chunk. That's plenty to hold this in place. Well, look at how they designed those braces. You see how even though they're cut in at a 45-degree angle, when it gets to the edge, they blunt it off at 90 degrees. So when the beam is set in place, the weight of the beam locks the joint in place. You can see I've taken the original posts, but then also the original braces. I've mimicked those. From the front, they look like they're simply cut at a 45-degree angle. Taking a close look at the actual joint, you see although some of it is flush, the rest of it has been cut so it tenons into the actual post, making it much stronger. Here's how we do that. Make sure that they're roughly the same distance. Don't have to be exact, but very close would be nice. Cut them off at a 45-degree angle and move on to the next step. This will be one pair. Using a scratch-awl, we mark out how deep the cut must go. Okay, now I'm going to set this skill saw to the right depth, and the first cut is made. Then the second cut is scored and cut. And then a final cut is made, squaring off the tenon so it fits into the mortise and locks the crossbeam in place. And so here we go. These are the original beams. There's 2 of them. And then I've cut these others to match. Okay, I got my corner braces out. I'm ready to set those on this side of the pergola. And I believe in doing all of my measurements on the spot. Thereby I make less mistakes. And let me tell you what I mean by that. Here is the individual beam that I'm working with, this corner brace. Every brace measures a little bit differently. This is the distance down the post it needs to start. So I need to start my cut 34 1/4 and end my cut 36 5/8. How did I come up with that measurement? I simply laid this at a 45-degree angle up against a wall and measured how far away from the wall it was. Less chance for error. When it comes time to measuring the width of the mortise, simply took my end square like so and matched it like so. In the old days, they'd hog this out with a bit and brace. I'm using a cordless drill and a Forstner bit. I've already taken my multi-tool and cut down about 1 inch. Now I'll hog out all that waste and see how we look. Alright, I'll just trim up the corners and I should be able to fit that right in. Okay, The corner brace has now been put into the support beam. It is temporarily tacked with the screw, and it is lying plumb, waiting for the cross beam. Okay, you see that curve right there? I'm going to mimic that, and I'm going to show you how I do it. The reason I chose that sort of decorative end on my pergola is because it matches some of the other decorative work you see under the eaves of the house, and you also see it some of those outbuildings. I've done that same sort of curved work as sort of a, I guess, a signature piece for the home place here. First thing to do is to cut out a pattern. Now the trick is you might imagine you'll take this Sawzall and try to cut this curve like so. No. Sawzall blades are very bendy, and you'll find yourself going way offline. So what I'm going to do instead is take cuts across the grain down to this line, and then when I'm done I'll take a hammer and bust those out and then smooth it out. Okay, as you can see, I've taken a Sawzall and just scored my way down to the line all the way around. You don't have to use a Sawzall. You can use a regular handsaw. I've done that before. I've also used a circular saw and just adjusted the depth of the cut each time. You can only go so deep on a circular saw, and I wanted to try this to see if it was any faster. Okay, so then when you get it scored to the line, just knock the stuff loose. Okay, there it is, roughed out. Now to smooth it out for the next step, you can either use a chisel, which has been used for centuries. I'm going to cheat a little bit and use my fine multi-tool, and then I will finish it off with a sander. Okay, so I've done my end pieces, and now if I've done my job right, each of these notches will be perfectly matched to the braces and the posts up there. All that's left to do is lift it into place. Each of these beams weighs about 150 pounds. They're solid oak. After we carefully lift them into place, they should be able to fall into place if we measured correctly. Perfect. Once in place, we drill holes through the top and then take lag bolts and tie everything together to make sure they don't move. And now we're done with this phase of the pergola project. Thanks for watching.